Paramount Plus recently released a trailer for their upcoming new show Frasier. This is the latest in an endless line of lazy streaming services squeezing every penny out of their existing back catalogue because it's easier and cheaper than trying to come up with something original. Why try and think of something new when you can just keep bringing out the greatest hits again and again and again?
Why don't I pitch you a remake of a remake?
It saddens me to say this, but after watching the trailer, I think it's pretty clear the new Frasier series looks like absolute shite. It has none of the charm and wit that made the original a classic. Apart from the titular character returning, it appears to have nothing in common with Frasier. The 2023 Frasier Reboot is a comedy series which follows on from the beloved 90s NBC sitcom of the same name. The original ran for 11 seasons from 1993 to 2004 and is one of the most critically acclaimed sitcoms of all time, during its run winning a then record 37 Emmy Awards. As a big fan of the 90s original, when I heard the news they were doing a new series with Kelsey Grammer reprising his role, I must admit nostalgia for the original did have me excited for a second. But then I remembered all the other recent train wreck attempts to reboot popular series with an aged original cast. We've had Picard, Sex and the City and Will and Grace. Even the recent Justified City Primeval, while not awful, was a disappointment. I appreciate this is only a trailer and the full show may actually be less shit than this makes out, but based on what we're seeing here, I'm confident my initial reaction is spot on and we've got another turd on our hands. The trailer opens up with Frasier in a Boston bar having a beer with two new characters. Don't worry everyone, Frasier appears to finally have a non-Caucasian friend. We can call off the protests. It seems like these two will be our Niles and Roz replacements, and they've swapped the coffee shop setting of the original for a bar. Remember Cheers, anyone? We then get the writer's best attempts at a witty analogy for Frasier drinking beer in a bar instead of his traditional favourite wine.
What is it about the city of Boston that leads me to forego the more sophisticated temptation of the fermented grape? Sitting here with a cold brew in my hand, I feel amalgamated with the hoi polloi. Oh, hilarious! Hilarious!
Next we meet Frasier's now adult son Freddie, whom Frasier has come back to Boston to see. It's probably worth mentioning here that the character Freddie did appear in the original show as a young teenager in a whopping 9 episodes out of the full 264. So I think it's safe to say he wasn't exactly a key character in the original show, and hardly someone the audience will be tuning in to catch up with after all these years. The rest of the trailer shows us that Frasier and his son have an estranged relationship. Frasier has moved back to Boston and now wants to be in Freddie's life. And there we have our premise. Our two main characters have polarising personalities, so let's see what happens when these two overlap. Not exactly exciting or original. It's the classic sitcom odd couple trope.
Cross-armed opposites.
This guy.
No, this guy.
No, this guy.
No, this guy.
Both of us.
To be fair, this is effectively the setup of the original show but flipped around. In the 90s show, Frasier's dad Martin has to move in with him. Martin is a working class retired police officer everyman, and Frasier and his brother Niles are two highly intellectual upper class neurotic snobs, albeit lovable and endearing ones, only possible by the genius script writing and fleshed out characters. The contrast between the brothers and their dad does work very well as a comedy vehicle, but the show didn't rely solely on this mechanism for jokes, which I worry the new show is going to do. So let's break down the main reasons why I can see this reboot going down like the Hindenburg.
To the Hinden, Peter!
The jokes in the trailer have all the charm and wit of Charles Manson. One of the reasons the original show was so popular was that it didn't underestimate its audience's intelligence. It was full of clever, multi-layered jokes written by an equally clever writer, mixed with fantastic physical comedy and a superb cast who worked so well together to execute each punchline to perfection. None of that looks to be on offer here. They show their attempt at a clever quip from Frasier, but it comes off like someone trying to sound intelligent, not someone who actually is. It reminds me of the Rings of Power writers' laughable attempts to write Shakespearean-style dialogue.
But sometimes the lights shine just as brightly reflected in the water as they do in the sky.
You are about to cascade into my calcarious agriculture.
It goes back to the fact you can't write a character smarter than yourself. and the writers for the new show just don't seem smart enough to handle a real 3D character like Frasier. The rest of the trailer is just vanilla cookie-cutter sitcom jokes, which in their own right are fine for a certain audience, but they are not the level of comedy fans of Frasier are used to. My second big issue is the cast. Frasier himself is a brilliant character, but one reason the 90s show worked so well and ran for 11 seasons was down to the fantastic ensemble cast and the excellent chemistry between them. It's well documented, the cast all got on very well in real life, and it's obvious that only helped bring the best out in the on-screen performances and the way the jokes land over and over. In the reboot, we only seem to have Kelsey Grammer returning from the original show. His son Freddie is played by a different actor than before, and everyone else shown are new, meaning the show instantly has an uphill battle to get the audience to like and care for these characters in the same way they did for the original cast. I've read that Jane Leeves and Perry Gilpin will be returning as Daphne and Roz respectively, but the fact they're not in the trailer makes you think they will be fleeting cameos at best, probably just lazy member berries. Of the new cast, Nicholas Lyndhurst is probably the best known actor out of the bunch, but I'm guessing most Americans won't know who he is. He is a solid TV actor and has a lot of comedy experience, having starred in one of the biggest UK comedies of all time, Only Fools and Horses. But he's not been in anything major for a long time, and not exactly an audience draw. Also, the best actor in the world is still at the mercy of the script and the direction given, so there's no guarantee he can bring any of his Only Fools magic here. Freddie is the only other character who has any real lines in the trailer, and he seems fine, but based on what we see, doesn't offer anywhere near the same chemistry that we had from Frasier and Martin in the original show, which is definitely what they're trying to copy here. And let's be blunt, David Hyde Pierce's flawless portrayal of Niles in the original show is easily one of the reasons that show was so good. The ongoing rivalry between Frasier and Niles provided some of the best plots. Not having him back is a huge loss. Making this show without him would be like doing Sex and the City reboot without Kim Cattrall, or 24 without Kiefer Sutherland. Can you imagine? Finally, the biggest issue here is the creative team making this reboot. The bulk of the old cast not returning is a problem, but in the right hands with the right script, this show could work in some capacity. Sadly, it doesn't look like the team behind this reboot are up to the job. Unfortunately for us, but probably good decision for them, none of the original writers are working on this. The reboot is being led by showrunners Chris Harris and Joe Cristali, who don't exactly have the back catalogue of comedy hits you'd want to see for people writing the new Frasier. I can't quite see what they've made previously to be given this beloved IP to work on. Just another example of streaming services handing out contracts like some sort of giveaway. And not remembering that maybe they could hire people with talent who, might make something that isn't shit. Just an idea. Anyway, what do I know? The star of the show and executive producer Kelsey Grammer thinks this could be funnier than the original. Not my words. Well, I guess we'll all find out next month. I do hope I'm wrong, but sadly I just don't see it. Thanks for watching if you've made it this far. This was my first video and I'm working on more, looking at other TV shows and film reviews. So if you did like this video, feel free to like and subscribe. And don't forget to leave your comments below. What do you think about the Frasier reboot?